everyone is dealing with Obama traffic at the moment, so I'm sure there are going to be plenty of women coming in a little bit late. But nevertheless, we wanted to get started to respect, everyone's time, especially our panelists. So again, thank you for coming. This event is being hosted by Colorful Women of the Academy as well as the Multicultural Center. First, for those who may not know, Colorful Women of the Academy is a new organization for female or female-identified students of color who are in a graduate or professional program here at OSU. And so our goal for Colorful Women is to provide academic, personal, but also professional support for one another. And one thing that we wanted to do was put together a panel to kind of talk about what does it mean to be a woman of color in the academy. What is that experience like? And Dalini Matos was the one who actually came across this really good article online, and it kind of inspired this program altogether. And that one was called, Different Bodies and Different Lives. Yes, Different Bodies and Different Lives in Academia, Why Roles Aren't the Same for Everyone. And so we can share that with all of you later on this evening. And so we thought, why not ask women on campus what their experiences were like in graduate school, as well as now that they were a part of the academy as professors. So Dawn Miles, my dear friend, who's also a graduate student here. She's in the history department. She's a PhD candidate. She's actually going to be the moderator for tonight's program because she's just that special. I owe her big time. And so sit back and enjoy. They're going to answer some questions, but of course we're going to leave about 20 minutes for the audience to ask questions as well. So if you have questions, write them down or just kind of keep them in mind so they can address them later on. Okay? I'm going to pass on to Dawn.
So the way we're going to do it is we'll kind of have everybody answer the first question, but then after that we'll have maybe like two of you answer the questions so it doesn't get overwhelming. But the first question is, I'm going to kind of let you guys introduce yourselves because you know yourself better. And so we're going to get you to say your name, your hometown, where you went to undergraduate and graduate school, and what you do, like what department you're in, what your objective is, to do research, stuff like that. So just to kind of give us an idea of who you have up here, and then we can go through a little more individual questions. So if you want to start with
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Ortiz. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Communication. I am originally from Mexico, but then lived in Southern California, very, very Southern California, like south and San Diego. And it was a border town, that's how south it was. Then I lived there for a while, and then I went and finished high school in Tucson, Arizona. So I just say that I'm from the Southwest. That just sums it all up. And so I did my undergrad and my grad program at University of Arizona in Tucson. My research is in the area of media effects, and I look at how media messages influence our perceptions, our attitudes, our feelings towards members of other groups, whether they be racial or ethnic groups or even sexual identity.
My name is Lynn Itagaki. I'm in English and Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies, and I'm really excited to be on this panel tonight. So thank you to the organizers. I was actually born in Hawaii, and but then I moved to Los Angeles. And I moved to Orange County, which you know is the world. It's like the Orange Curtain. But when I was living there, it wasn't as crazy as it is now. Anyway, then we moved to Los Angeles proper, so that was out. But I was in undergrad at Harvard, and then I was in graduate school at UCLA. And it was there that I really developed my interest in Los Angeles history and literature. And so I actually studied the literature and film of the LA riots of 1992, and that is my current book project. I also teach multiracial feminist theory, women of color, literature, and then also 20th, 21st century American literature.
Hi everybody, I'm Judy Wu. I'm really tired. talking today. Let's see. Oh, I was born in Taiwan, came to the United States when I was 6. Grew up in Spokane, Washington, which, like Columbus, is a test market town. Middle America. Went to Stanford for both undergraduate and graduate school. Then came here just as I was finishing my dissertation, and have been here 15 years, something like that. I'm an associate professor in history and women's gender and sexuality studies. I'm also coordinating Asian American studies. And I'm really excited because I just signed up a minor today. We have very few minors. And we have 2 other people who are ready to sign. So we're quadrupling our number. My first book is on Margaret Chung, and she's the first American-born Chinese woman doctor. And she's a fascinating person. During World War II, all these American military men would gather at her home and eat barbecue ribs and fried rice. She became this adopted mother figure for all these men in the military. It was her way to express this dual patriotism towards China and the United States. The exciting thing about Margaret Chung is that she's going to be immortalized for a GLBT outdoor museum in Chicago. And it's going to be unveiled this Thursday, so I'm going to go hang out and see what her plaque looks like. I'm excited about that. I just finished a book on American anti-war activists and their international travels, and that looked a lot at African-American, Asian American, Chicana political activists and how their international journeys shape their politics and their identity. And I'm starting a 3rd book project on Patsy Mink, and she's the first woman of color congresswoman. She co-authored Title IX, which mandated gender equality in schools that receive federal funding. And I'm struggling with writing a conference paper right now on her anti-nuclear activism. It's amazing to think how much the United States bombed Pacific Islands and tested nuclear weaponry, or even just conventional weapons. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about right now.
Judy and I are good friends. I didn't even know about her 3rd project, so I was like, captivated. I'm Leslie Alexander, and I never know how to answer the where are you from question because I'm kind of from all over the place.
That's my son.
That's funny.
He's really into Power Rangers right now.
I'm kind of from all over the place. I was born in Chicago, but I was raised in California and the Bay Area and in Southern Oregon. I actually also went to Stanford as undergraduates, and Judy and I think at one point actually even lived in the same dormitory complex, because we both lived in where's Trentos in Wilbur Hall.
Yes.
Wilbur Hall.
That was many, many years ago.
Yeah. I'm scared to say that. But we didn't actually know each other until we got here.
We were in the same protest together.
We did, yeah, we were even in the same protest. And we didn't know it until years later. I went to a graduate school at Cornell, and this is actually my 13th year now at Ohio State. When I first arrived, I was in the history department, and I recently changed to African American and African Studies. I was supposed to say what my research is on. Dawn is my student, so that's why I always look at her. It keeps me going. I specialize in 19th century African American history. My first book basically looked at the first couple of generations of free people in New York City, looking basically at this transition out of slavery into emancipation, and looked particularly at issues of identity, community formation, and most importantly, the relationship between identity and political activism. So what kinds of sort of political movements and ideas of political consciousness formed among newly emancipated people, and how did that connect to how they saw themselves as free people in the North. And my next book, if I ever can get back to it, is looking at, it's actually also kind of internationalism, but internationalism in the 19th century. So it looks at how Black activists in the 19th century viewed their kind of relationship to other African diasporic nations, particularly those in the Western Hemisphere,
and I guess more importantly, how they sort of lobbied and pressured the United States government for changes in their foreign policy towards other African diaspora nations. So I'm looking in particular at Haiti, Cuba, and if I can ever get Portuguese together, potentially Brazil. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. I remember you saying that when you came over to Kenya. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna learn Portuguese. But
I'm gonna take up Portuguese really quick and just
Okay, so the idea is that I'll ask a question and kind of two of you can choose who answers it, like, so whoever feels comfortable kind of jumping forward can do it. And we'll do maybe 2 people for each question unless somebody has a burning desire to be a third person. And then we can kind of move to the next question so that we leave time for questions at the end. But the first question we have is, have you ever felt it necessary to downplay any aspects of yourself or your research, depending on the position that you were looking for? Yeah.
I'm not applying for anything, but. Well, when I saw that, I thought that was a really interesting question, because when you apply, well, right now the job market is definitely not in the favor of people who are applying. It's in the favor of people who are hiring. But wherever you go, you need to be able to, I don't want to say sell or market, those are the wrong connotations. But you need to be able to communicate the value of your project to an audience who will not know anything about your project. I mean, you're looking for somebody in your expertise because they don't have any, right? And so you have to be able to talk to people who do Russian history or medieval history, or who have nothing to do with whatever it is that you're interested in. And you have to be able to make your project interesting and relevant to that person or to that audience. So you may get just like strange questions out of left field that you don't even know about, but for them it's really important because it's centered to their intellectual interest, right? So I think that's part of the skill of being an academic, is learning how to talk to people from very different backgrounds. And it's, I think, very different from where you are now in graduate school, because you're starting to find people with similar intellectual interests. When you go to someplace else, you're going to be the only one, or maybe one of the few, and it might take a while for you to find that community.
So maybe if you're, like if you are applying for a position, and let's say that you are part of the LGBTQI community, or you're an activist, like a serious activist, and you know maybe that that's not the kind of color that that department paints. Is that something that you're open about, or is that something that you would think you should keep to yourself when you're applying for a position? Or if somebody finds out about it, right? If you even discuss it. So if somebody asks you about a partner or about children, or, I mean, especially since all of us are women, right? So this idea of like that they get to pry into a certain part of our life because we can possibly have children or something like that. Like, so are those things that you would keep to yourself in an interview, or that you should actually kind of share if you know that it's a position that you really want?
They're not supposed to ask you,
But they do.
We know that they do, though. We know that the illegal questions get asked.
Yeah, that's something I think you might practice, right? If someone asks you, how do you want to answer it? And I think we all have different ways that we could answer. But you might try practicing that with your advisors or with people that you know, and just practice different ways of saying it. I don't know if you necessarily need to hide different aspects of yourself, but I think you want to foreground those aspects of yourself that are going to give you a better chance of getting that position if you want to be there. If you don't want to be there, then there's no point, right? But if you want to be in that particular environment, you need to think about what are your strengths that can really speak to what they're interested in. Those people are interested in hiring.
Yeah, the specific question about research, I think, for me wasn't quite as relevant only because of what I do. Like, there was no way for me to go out on the job market and pretend like I would study Black people. You know? That's what my research is about. You either want that or you don't. But yeah, I mean, I think there is sort of a larger question about how do you kind of want to go about presenting yourself, you know, and what aspects of yourself do you kind of want to share. I actually was thinking of, I have like a weird epiphany in 2 places, in the shower and in the car. And so I was actually thinking about this question when I was or one of the questions sort of connected to this when I was in the shower this morning. And I was thinking, you know, I was actually kind of naive when I went out on the market because I didn't you know, necessarily go out of my way to, and maybe, I don't know, Judy was actually in the department when I came and interviewed, so